Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Joyce. I'm back with another Sistas recap. In this video, I will be giving a review of Season 3, Episode 5, Just a Boy. But before I get into that, if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe and like and share my channel so that you can always be aware and updated of when I'm uploading new videos. If you've already been here, welcome back. You already know how my reviews go, so let's just go ahead and get into it. So when the episode starts, it picks up from last week with Andi suddenly deciding that she does not want to marry Gary, which definitely makes her girls happy. She feels bad that, he went through the trouble of getting, everything together according to how she explained it on her first date, which is what she kind of keeps going back to. But the girls are just like, forget that. Let's go ahead and get out here and tell him, what it is so we can get out these dresses and go ahead and go home. Well, Andi being Andi, she's, no, I don't want to tell him, in front of everyone. I want to tell him in private, and Dani just kind of like, girl, he didn't do any of this in private. I mean, he planned a whole wedding ceremony without any input from you, implemented your friends and everybody else, which, put you on the spot. So he didn't care about doing anything in private, but Andi is adamant about, not wanting to, I guess, embarrass him. I guess that's where she was going by turning him down and telling him no. So Sabrina's like, all right, cool. We'll go out here. We'll go get Gary. We'll tell him that you want to, talk to him. So you can go ahead and tell him that this wedding / photo shoot, whatever, is not happening. Although the girls definitely feel that, hey, what if he decides to jump stupid? Now, y'all know Gary is psychotic now. Y'all know he crazy. So what if he decides to jump stupid with you? So, Dani's like, well, I'm going to be right outside the door, just in case he does. So they get up to Gary, who's still standing there with Aaron waiting, and they tell him, Andi wants to talk to you. Gary takes one look at the three of them and their, mean mug faces, and he's like, y'all talked her out of it, didn't you? Well, of course, that didn't go well. They kind of all jump on him and tell him about himself. Dani's like, well, you already know I don't like you, have never liked you, but no, we didn't tell her anything. Well, Sabrina, which I was kind of shocked at how she went in. She said first, she hit him with some first of all, Andi's a real intelligent, smart, educated woman. She is capable of making her own decision. But since you think we talked her into something, I'm just like, okay, Sabrina, she said it with her chest. Okay. She's like, why don't you just go back there? Go talk to her, So then Fatima, now she really hit him with a gut punch when she was like, and let's not forget that you started all this shit. This is all your fault because of the foundation of how y'all started. Like, y'all whole relationship was on shaky ground from the start because you came from, a shady situation, already being married and everything. So how dare you try to stand here and act like, we're at fault if we did talk her out of it, or whatever. So they really told him about himself. So once Gary goes off to go talk to Andi, they then turn and ask Aaron, how do you even know Gary? Like, what was your part in this? Why were you, in on this with him? And he's basically like, well, I am, a pastor and of the men's group in the church. And I've been working with Gary, and so Dani them is like, well, you know what, Pastor, whatever work you supposed to been doing, honey, it ain't working because Gary is off his freaking rockers, basically. So you must not be too good at your job, and they ain't lying. And so Aaron is like, well, I can only do my best, but I can tell y'all that I do see a change in him or whatever, which they definitely are not buying. So then Sabrina kind of switches gears to asking Aaron, well, what's up with you and Karen? And so then it switches off for a second back to Andi telling Gary that while she appreciates him paying attention to detail and, setting up this little wedding according to what she always wanted, she does not want to marry him like that. And surprisingly, Gary's all okay with it. He's basically like, okay, I understand, and I'm just like, Gary look, that psycho switch with him is like a thin line between love and hate, a very thin line. So even though he was standing there, he's smiling, and, I totally get it, I totally understand. In my mind, I'm just like, his psycho switch is about to flip in 5, 4, 3, 2, motherfucking 1, because you can almost sort of see the darkness kind of go over his face, like he's smiling with his lips, but his eyes are saying a whole nother story. He was a little ticked off, but he acted like he was okay with it. He then sort of told her that, Karen basically just went the hell off on me, which she did. And he was like, really, all your friends, I understand they all love you. And Andy's like, yeah, they just my girls, they got my back like that. But I'm sure that once they get to know you, they'll love you as I do. Basically, if I was either one of y'all, I wouldn't be holding my breath waiting on that. But, okay, if that's what y'all, want to feel, that's what make y'all sleep better at night, go ahead with that wish, but I don't see that one happening. So anyway, we get back to the girls out with Aaron, and he basically is like, yes, I like Karen, I really like her, but she's still stuck on Zach. So then the camera kind of cuts to Fatima, and her face kind of, gets a little sad, and he's like, what, something I said? And so she's like, well, yeah, I was dating Zach, and I did not know that Karen was his ex. He talked about an ex a lot, but he never said that it was her. And so Dani's just like, you sure about that? I feel like they are forever going to grill her on that, no matter how many times she can scream till she blue in the face. She didn't know. And I think they are still going to be like kind of giving her a bit of a side eye. But with Dani, I feel like it was just all in love. But, she's like, so are you still, basically messing around with Zach? And Fatima says, no, I had him get his things and move out. So then Dani and Sabrina's like, wait a minute, hell no, he was living with you? And Fatima's like, well, yeah. So they are like, Zach is going to have to quit this bullshit. Now, he's a grown-ass man. Why is he always going from woman to woman, sleeping on their fucking couch? Like, why can't he get his own place? And they were like, Zach is always looking for some woman to live off of and mooch off of and take care of him. Well, y'all know Fatima is all on this Zach has potential, bandwagon. So she's, I don't feel that. I really think that Zach has all the potential in the world. He just needs someone to push him. Now, I love Fatima. Like, she is my favorite of the cast members. But, girl, she's a little bit digmatized. Now, let's call it what it is. Zach done put that, that good on her a few times. And that's the potential that she keeps seeing. Because on the real tip, he has not shown me anything that even shows potential. He's like goofy. Now, he's a nice looking brother, but his character on that show, just shows that he has so much growing up to do. He's indecisive. He does not know who he wants. And yes, he is still very much in love with Karen. It doesn't matter how much he says, Fatima, I love her, she saw this in me. He's still, there's a part of him that's still with one foot in Fatima's bed, and his heart is still over in Karen. So I don't know what Fatima keeps, as far as this potential, but that's what she's going with. So okay, girl. So then we get over, speaking of Zach, to actually making it to Karen's salon. Remember last week she had called him and asked him to come over. Well, she wants him to sit down and talk, but Zach is like, nah, I don't want to sit down. I don't really even want to talk. Just what do you want? What'd you call me over here for? Like, he being real short with her. So Karen's all, well, yeah, Fatima told me what you said about me. And I ain't said shit about you. What you mean? And she's like, nah, I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying that she told me that you talked about your ex a lot and told her how much you still care and all of that. And he's like, well, yeah, I did, but you know what that got to do with you calling me over here? So she's like, well, Zach, I just want us to talk and I want us to just try to, you know, work things out. And he's like, Karen, there is nothing to work out. I don't want you. This is over. And I just wanted to get up and just clap and do the Cabbage Patch and everything else when he told her it is over, because you can tell that he really meant it. Or if he didn't mean it, he was very convincing in that scene, because to drive it on home, you know, Karen, she's still sitting up there with this little smug, so you don't still love me, so it's over, huh? So he kind of got up in her face like, let me make it more clear, we are done. I'm going after Fatima because she lifted me up, which you've never done. All you've ever done is put me down, talk bad about me, talk shit about me, and she did the opposite. Like, she made me feel like I could go out here and do whatever I wanted to do, and she motivated me to do just that. And that's what the kind of woman I need. Like, I don't need you in your drama. That's what I want, and so that's who I'm gonna go after. Now, I know he said that, but y'all know just last week when Zach was over at Preston's eating up all his steak and potatoes, he was still professing how much he loves Karen. So, you know, it's like, I really want to root for Zach, and yes, him and Fatima would make a much better couple, but just realistically, he's indecisive and he don't really know what he wants. But that's where it went with this episode. So then it switched over to Maurice. Now, I don't know why in the world he took Q back to his place, but he did. So basically, he wanted to have a little come to Jesus moment, asking him, you know, Q, why do you go around stealing? Like, what do you get out of that? And Q is all, what you asking me for? Why you out there? You know, basically nobody ever cared about me to ask me something so personal. He's like, well, if I didn't care, I wouldn't be asking. But really, on the real, you know, what do you get out of it? So Q's just like, well, I just want to. And Maurice says, you know, basically, you're going down the wrong path. You know, this dangerous. One of these days, you're going to end up hurt or killed or someone else. So you really need to cut this out. Well, Q still doesn't want to hear it. He's like, you know, look, either you're going to call the police on me or I'm about to be out. And surprisingly, you know, Maurice is not being his usual cynical, sarcastic, snide, rude self. Like, he really was coming to him as like someone who really, you know, cared. And he said, you can leave, but I just wanted to, you know, I guess try to point you in another direction. But you can tell that went in one of Q's ears and out the other. So then it switches over to Zach after he left Karen's salon, calling Fatima, saying, I'm on the way. He doesn't really give her much of a chance to say anything else, just I'm on my way. Hangs up the phone. Well, then we switch over to back to Andi's place with Gary. Now, I guess that she had decided to set up this little sexy little scene, even though it's not technically their honeymoon, because she said no. She still came out in some sexy red lingerie, red lipstick. I'm talking about Sister Girl was, you know, she looked good. I can't even lie, she looked good. And Gary appreciated it. He's like, oh, what's this? You know, he gets out of the bed like, what's up with this? And she's like, well, I know that it's not technically our honeymoon, but I still wanted to, you know, go ahead and let you know how much I appreciate you setting up the whole wedding scene or whatever. So, you know, at first he with it. He like, oh shit, I ain't even sleepy no more. So then Andi makes this little comment. She's like, and besides, I want to show you this new little trick I learned. Y'all, when I tell y'all Gary's narcissistic bipolarism switch flipped like 5, 4, 3, 2, motherfucking 1. You can see his face darkened and everything. Like, what the fuck you mean a trick? And she's like, I wanted to basically, you know, please you. Well, he's like, well, my mind done went to, oh, did you learn the trick from that one dude that you messed around with? And Andy's like, no, where are you even getting this from? I mean, just in that instant, he was automatically ticked off, mad. He pushing her away. Now don't even touch me, I'm tired, I'm sleepy, when just a minute ago you weren't sleepy. And just getting really rude with her. And he's like, I don't understand this. And he's like, you can't be saying stuff like that. You know I'm crazy. Basically, you know how my mind, I'm going to, you done messed around and learned something from some other guy. And now you want to come talk about teaching it to me. And she's like, you taking this totally out of context. First of all, what I was talking about was this something that me and Karen seen in a magazine or whatever, not from some guy, but it was like his mind was made up. He wasn't really trying to hear anything that she was talking about. And totally, he just messed up the whole little romantic scene. Andi was still trying to get it on, like, let's not ruin the night. She trying to kiss all over him. Now, I'm not sure where Tyler Perry got this red lipstick from, but she was kissing over him so much to where his whole upper body was just red lips all over, but he still was not feeling it. He pushed her off, and she's like, damn, I can't even touch you. Like I said, girl, Andi, if you know like I know, you will get the hell away from him. Like, he go from 0 to 100, ain't no fucking in between. He changes it up way too fast for me, and that's a sign of a motherfucking crazy person. But apparently she like it, so hey, I love it. Well, Dani gets home. She still has an issue with Preston. She calls bluegrass country music. She says it reminds her of like white guys in overalls trying to lynch black people or whatever, which he's like, all right, I'll change the music. So then she tells him about the day. Now remember that even though we're 5 episodes in, episode 1 through 5 has been one long day, so this is all happening over the course of a day. So she decides to tell Preston about the wedding and how Gary tried to force Andi into marrying him, and he's like, well, when we get married, I'll make sure you know. Well, that freaks Dani out, because she's like, wait a minute, who said anything about that? So she's like, I'm gonna go take a shower. So while she's in the bathroom, she calls Sabrina all freaked out about him saying something about them getting married, and Sabrina's like, girl, calm down, he ain't proposed, he's just saying, basically just making a statement. But Dani's like, I'm not ready for no E-I-E-I-O shit. Like, it don't matter what we talking about, he take it back to some farm country chicken cows. I ain't with that. And I just hope Dani doesn't mess this up, because Preston really likes her, but I can see her getting in her head and it really getting in the way of their relationship. Zach gets over to Fatima's. As soon as she opens the door, he just kind of grabs her, goes to kissing on her, and she like, wait a minute, stop, and he like, girl, quit playing, you want this. And she does. So she's like, all right, we can do this, but I don't want no make love shit. I want you to come up in here and just really screw me. And she didn't say screw, she said the F word. So they get into this whole like Cinemax After Dark sex scene. I'm talking about, it was like, whoa, it was real convincing, I'll tell you that. Like, definitely, if you would have had a kid in the room, that would have been the time to send them out or cover their eyes or something, because I mean, that little sex scene was like, woo, I ain't even getting enough sex to be watching sex scenes like that. Like, okay, anyway, Aaron stops by. Karen's wanting to check on her or whatever, which Sabrina went over to Karen's to check on her as well. Now, Karen had a stank attitude with her for what reason, I don't know. Just Karen always got a stank ass attitude. Sabrina's like, well, I just wanted to check on you and to tell you that Andi did not go through with the wedding. She said no. So Karen's like, yeah, all right, cool, you can leave, shut my door on the way out. Well, as Sabrina's on her way out, Aaron is on his way in. He also wanted to come over and just, check on her and make sure she's okay. And so, he says, oh yeah, and I also wanted to come by to see if you'd allow me to make love. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, Aaron is still on this wanting to make love to Karen. Now, is she gonna let him? I don't know. I suspect that she probably will, now that Zach has made it known that he don't want her no more and he's totally into Fatima. So I feel like she may very well go ahead and now, she'll go ahead and go to Aaron basically on some rebound type shit. Like I said, her and Zach at this moment, both of them are just all over the place and indecisive. And I feel like what they're doing is they're both dragging two very good people into the middle of their mess. Because I do feel like Fatima, even though, when Zach showed up, she did kind of tell him, why are you tripping? You and I both know that you are still in love with Karen. And Zach is like, yeah, but I don't love her like I love you though, or whatever. And it's just like, dude, you just got through telling Dani that you just met her, so you can't even say you love her. Now you're saying you love her. And, he's, I'm just playing. And she like, that's your problem. You're always playing. Like, he takes everything as a joke. And that's why I said I don't see what Fatima is seeing as far as this so-called potential that she keeps claiming that Zach has, because to me, he still is very childish and has a lot of growing up to do. But I guess if anybody could get him together and make him get on the straight and narrow, it would be Fatima. So I'm hoping that, she can do that. But like I said, I suspect that Karen, now that she's even more pissed off and bitter because Zach chose a better woman over her, she'll go ahead and settle down with Aaron. But that's not really going to be where her heart's at. But I guess we'll see. Now, next week, Jacoby on some bullshit, busting in, trying to talk about Sabrina sexually harassing him, which I kind of saw that in him anyway. He got that look about him, but I guess we'll see. So that was the episode. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next week. Bye.